In today's video, I'll be sharing the top 3 reasons why you shouldn't use AI as a junior software developer. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Paul. I'm building an AI coding assistant called EasyCode, which has been downloaded by over 1 million developers between VS Code and JetBrains. As a part of my day-to-day, I talk to a ton of software developers about how they use AI. This is a channel where I share my findings, learnings, and new discoveries. And in today's video, we'll be looking at reasons why you shouldn't use AI if you're a junior developer or somebody who's just starting to learn to code. Before we get going here, it might be a little ironic for me to be sharing this message given I'm building an AI coding system. But personally, I really want to make sure that the tools and technologies we develop actually serve us as developers instead of hurting us. And this is especially true for someone who is early in their software development career. So with that said, let's get into it. The first reason why junior developers should stay away from using AI tools is because it prevents you from true learning. And in the early days, it's so important to learn the fundamentals of programming, and it's important to do it manually. Just like how we learn math or English or any other basic skills, to become really good at it in the early days, it requires repetitive manual practice. And there's something different about having to write a piece of code manually, character by character, that gives you a foundational layer of understanding that is essential. And when you use AI tools to generate even the simplest functions and the smallest code blocks, you take away that capability and you take away the struggle that sometimes is necessary for you to really understand what's going on behind the scenes. Remember when you were first learning to do basic calculations? There's a good reason why you don't start using the calculator right away, even though using the calculator might get you the results faster. But by doing the calculations yourself, writing it down on paper, you learn how the calculations, how the additions and subtractions actually work. Imagine every time you run into a problem, somebody just hands you a solution key. Now, the solution key might be correct and actually solve the problem. But if your primary goal is learning, you're better off solving the problem on your own first and only seeking help when you need it. The second reason why you should refrain from over-relying on AI is because it might hurt your chances of landing a tech job. As someone who's hired software engineers in the past, there are often two types of technical interviews. There are live coding challenges, similar to LeetCode type of problems, and then there are take-home exercises or projects. For live coding challenges, often I'm looking for two things. One, can you get the algorithms right? Do you know how to solve the problem, right? Are you thinking about it the right way? Are you using the right data structures? And so on. But also, you still have to be able to code it and be able to write code that runs and compiles. I've seen so many candidates that seem to get the algorithms part right, but they simply can't write working code. There will be syntax errors here and there. They miss something, smaller details that cause it to not compile or not to print out the right output. These things really get people stuck in these type of high pressure situations. So if you rely on AI to prepare for technical interviews, for technical live coding challenges, it's very possible that you might get the algorithms right because you've seen enough problems, but you can't code it without relying on some form of autocomplete. On the other hand, you have take-home exercises or projects. These are often mini projects that you can do on your own time, and you can use help, you can do research, and there isn't that time-sensitive constraint that comes with a live coding challenge. So here, the bar is not just to get a working solution. I would say that's the bare minimum. Why would you even submit something that doesn't work, right? What people are looking for are trade-offs and thoughts around why these trade-offs are made. How did you come up with the solution? Why did you decide to implement it this way? In a universe of solutions, often there are more than one potential solutions. So if you use AI to build a working solution, chances are you've outsourced some of the thinking to the AI, and you might even read the AI's explanation in terms of why it did a certain way. But without having gone through that problem-solving process yourself, again, you won't be able to answer those set of questions with the same level of nuance compared to somebody who didn't use AI to come up with that solution. And that really shows in an interview where you have time and space to get deep into these technical decisions. Let's say now you landed a job. Congratulations. Your goal now is to onboard and learn about the code base that you'll be working on. And often you'll be given a set of simple tasks. These simple tasks are carefully picked so you can go through the code base, understand how the different components work with each other, understand the data flow. These might not be difficult tasks, but they are good tasks to build the foundational understanding of the code base so you can work on more complex features or tasks later on. And it will be a big mistake for you to leverage AI too much to build that understanding in the early days. And here's the reason why. First, AI simply can't do that well. Most AI coding tools doesn't have code-based context. You need to tell the AI to consider certain context to be able to solve problems effectively. Now, the problem, of course, is that you don't have that context either. You don't know which files, which folders, which repos are relevant. So you can't leverage the AI tools as effectively as somebody who already understands the code base. So that's from a feasibility standpoint. But let's say the AI coding assistant can actually understand the context. It knows more than you. Now, if AI can just give you all the answers, wouldn't that be great? Part of the point of going through this process is that you navigate through the code base, you find the references, you go to the definitions, you navigate through the file system, the code base, to build that understanding that is critical for you to become someone who's proficient in this code base. And if you use AI to do all of this, you may still have the same conclusions, but your understanding of the code base isn't going to be as solid. There's a common fear that anyone who isn't using AI is going to be left behind. And there's some truth to it, but I think where this really applies is if you're someone who already knows how to code, who understands the core principles and have a good foundation. AI is one of those things that can accelerate your process. However, if you're someone who's still learning to code or early in your software development career, try to focus on the quality of learning and the depth of understanding instead of optimizing for the sheer speed of learning. By taking the time to develop a solid foundation, you will be a much better software developer in the medium to long term. And with the fundamentals in place, AI can make you even more productive and get more done. But as the saying goes, learn to walk before you run.